Hey, David Welch here with Cattleman's Western Wear, Temple, Texas. It is March, Friday the 13th, and trust me, it's been Friday the 13th all morning long. We've had one issue after the other, microphones not wanting to work, our friendly Facebook not wanting to cooperate. But anyhow, forget about all that. We have with us today Mr. Lane Nobles from West Texas. Lane, how are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, we're excited to get the show rolling. I know y'all been waiting, and I'm sorry you've had to wait and we're late. We don't like being late, but we are. So we're going to start out with some questions for Lane. He's going to talk to us a little bit about his bull riding career and his family. But Lane, how long have you and your family been involved in the rodeo business?
This has been around so I'd be the third generation. I'm third generation rodeo cowboy. My dad rode bulls and team roped. My granddad and my great uncle, they rode bulls, team roped. My great uncle even got on bareback horses and bulldogged a little bit, and it's been just in the family. And going, my brother rides bulls, and then we not the rodeo side of it, but on my mom's side, her dad was a cattle rancher, right? So it's all,
Y'all been involved for a while.
been around livestock since I was born, pretty much. So even I figured that even after I'm done riding bulls, maybe, my dad taught me to rope when I was a little kid, so maybe I can go do some team roping too, and still get to run around a little bit and win some money.
There you go. So everybody likes the wrecks at the rodeos or likes watching the bull riding. So what's the worst wreck you've ever been in while on a bull riding?
Well, so right down the road over here in Belton, when I was 18, and just kind of, I started later than most people did. I was 16, right at 17 when I started getting on. Well, I started getting it figured out, and when I was 18, right before I turned 19, right over here at the Johnny Bourne Arena in Belton, I'd broke my neck. I was getting off a bull that they'd brought back. They'd been taking him to some PBRs and doing so, and he was just good, but jumped out there and was around the right, and they couldn't get him out of the spin. So usually you want to get off into your hand, whatever side. If you're right-handed, you get off on the right side. Well, they couldn't get this bull lined out, so I get off of him. So I figured, shoot, I'll just kind of lean to the outside and get off, and it worked out all right till he kicked my legs up, and I flipped over and come down head first, and it sounded like somebody had stuck a shotgun on my shoulder and pulled the trigger. It was just a loud snap, like pop, but I didn't think nothing of it. I could still feel stuff. It hurt real bad. I got up and ran over to the side of the pen and got out of there. And with this being said, I was the first guy out, and I sat around there hurting, miserable. My brother and friends calling me all kinds of names, telling me I need to toughen up. I won $167 for a jackpot that we had. My mom's a RN, so I go back to Providence just to go tell her I kind of need to get looked at. Maybe something's wrong, but at the same time, I sit down in the car and I turn my head. I was like, shoot, I just got a kink in my neck. I don't know, so I'll go get looked at. Sure enough, I go get looked at, and they did everything. They freaked me out. I shattered my C5. There was no more C5 vertebrae. C4 was dislocated, and it said it was a 16th of a millimeter away from my spinal cord.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah.
So this is how many hours later?
This is probably, within 4 hours. Long enough that I got from Belton to Waco, went and saw my mom, then walked down to the ER. I was in there joking around. They put the C-collar on you anytime you say anything about a neck. I was sitting on the bed, then they take me, but I could never get up. Anytime I lay down, I have to grab that thing and pull myself up. I was like, there's a bad kink in my neck. And they did all the MRIs and the x-rays and stuff. I remember I was sitting there on this bed, and I'm like joking, talking to my brother, kicking my feet, and they come in, they're like, do not move. I was like, whoa. And then my dad comes in, and he's like, they're going to fix you. You're fine. I was like, oh, I got the tears coming. Am I going to be able to ride anymore? I didn't know.
Most important thing.
Yeah, I didn't know how bad it really was. My mom finally, told me later, like, it was bad. The doctor told him that if someone would have bumped me wrong, or if I would have, when I sat down in the car and I turned my head, if I'd have looked down, it'd either paralyzed me or killed me. One of that. I don't know which one. Just the way it would have hit my spinal cord, I guess. But
That's crazy. So you're talking about trying to get off your bull, you know, and we've had this conversation before, but have you ever wanted to be a rodeo clown?
oh gosh, no, no. Although I have attempted it, just because there wasn't anybody else there, I realized real quick that I was not a bullfighter, and that I'd rather sit in the middle of their back than be on the ground with them. My brother needed to. He was getting on some practicables one day. We didn't have anybody there to step in for him or nothing, and Rawson doesn't get off of him very well anyway. And we ride this little bull, and he turns back and pulls his tail and goes to get off of him. Well, he pulls his tail and he just lets go. And I mean, doesn't look out, it just flops right underneath him. And I run in there, and you would have thought that I'd been doing this forever. I got a really cool picture out of this, but I slide in and I got my hands out and I look like I'm doing everything right. Well, about that time, we make eye contact and my body locked up. All I could do was tuck and roll. Like, scared the heck out of me. And I told Rawson right after that, I said, we better find someone else. I'm not a dang bullfighter. I'm not doing that anymore. It freaked me out.
So, and I said the word rodeo clown, but the truth is, in the pen, there's actually bullfighters who protect y'all and help you get off your bulls.
Yeah.
And then there's the clown who is really the funny man that keeps the crowd going.
I don't think anybody thinks I'm that funny for me to sit there and be a funny man. And I've never thought about doing that, but I know my wife tells me every day, you're not funny. So I'll just not even go that route.
So, you know, everybody has the moment that they think, oh my God, that was the greatest thing. But what's been your greatest bull ride?
I think that one that it may not be the greatest one to everybody else that they thought, but the one that I'll remember forever is that the most memorable anyway was right after me and Shelby had got married. We'd went on a trip. Instead of a honeymoon, we went to a PBR in Phillipsburg, Kansas, like 2 days after we got married. And then we'd come back and went to the Garden of the Gods, like making a trip, and then we were going to the Pikes Peak or Bust in Colorado. And all this being said, that we were just married. I didn't have a whole lot of money. We was roughing it. And I got called for a slap in Phillipsburg, and I didn't think I slapped him. So I didn't win a whole lot. I rode my long round bull in the short round. They called me for a slap. So I didn't place real deep. The Pikes Peak or Bust, I fell off a good one. Someone told me how good he was, and I got in my own way and I fell off of him. Well, then we were leaving there and going to Gallup, New Mexico to the Wild Thing. And if you've never been to that, the Wild Thing, you know, in July is probably one of the coolest bull rides. It's open bull ride, and anybody can enter it, but it is really neat. Well, me and Shelby are headed there, and like I said, we were low on funds, and at the time, Sammy Andrews was still taking bulls. Well, I'm in the third section, and I draw one, and I got one of Sammy's bulls, and he bucks. I'm 92 points, and win a pile of money, and just brought us. I mean, that right there, the feeling that I had knowing that, like, you're either gonna be able to keep going or not make it, and then we turned around and ride a good one of Sammy's. I don't even remember what they called him or what his brand was. I know he's a white bull, and he turned back to the left, and was really good. And that's probably one of my favorite bull rides. That just the timing, what all was going on in life, and then how it played out. That was the first time I'd won the Wild Thing. I thought it was pretty neat.
That's pretty cool. So, what's your most memorable bull? Or your favorite bull that you like getting on?
I think the one that I'll remember forever is the one I broke my neck getting off of. They called him Drill Bit Taylor.
And he drilled you.
Yeah, and the bad thing was it was not even like a usual turn. Like make a good ride and go to get off, and then it just goes to not very good real quick. But yeah. I'll remember him. I think that's probably one that I'll remember the most of. And
so I'll go back to the previous question, your previous comment. It just brings thoughts in my mind. Everybody thinks this bull riding. They watch the PBR and these other shows, and there's all these glamorous things. It looks like, and y'all are all making millions of dollars. And I know that you were on one of the teams at PBR, and we won't get into that today. But being on the road is maybe not as glamorous as you think. A friend of mine told me last weekend. In fact, he said he wanted to be a bull rider, and his dad told him, said, "Son, you got one of two choices. You can either be a bull rider and be broke, potentially divorced later on. You're riding down the road with your friends, and you won some money, and they borrowed all the money you won to enter up in the next rodeo, and everybody lost. Didn't make the road anyhow. So it's not really as glamorous all the time as people think.
No, it's not. It's when you're rodeoing, you're in a car or whatever you're traveling, probably 85% of the time. Like, you're just driving. You go get on, you get off, you drive, and you stay gone. Luckily for me, I married someone who understood that I was going to be gone, or they like traveling as well. But I don't know how many nights, like, you get in a car and you're over it. I've been over, like, things either, if they're not going good, it's bad, and it just keeps piling on you. It feels like you can't get out from it. When it's good, it's great. You're having fun. You are with your friends all the time. You're in a different state every night. You're doing different things. Like, we'd leave here and say, you go to the West Coast. Well, you're over there. You may have had a run where you could hit 4 rodeos right there going on, and then you got 2 days off. Well, if it's warm, you're over there hanging out on the beach. And then you're going to start coming over here, and you might be in Utah for 2 or 3 days, where you can go to the hot springs or go hike some of the mountains. And you got friends everywhere, so it is fun. Like, but the days that you're entered and you're going and you get on right here at this spot, and then you got to throw your stuff in the bag and haul ass back over here to the car because you got a 22-hour drive to make the next one. And then as soon as you leave that one, well, then it's 19 hours back the other way where you just came from to make this one. And then another 26 hours over here. You're in the car a lot.
And you married somebody that likes to drive.
Yes. Oh, thank goodness. Because I hate driving. I do not like driving. When you are going to be gone, you better like the people that you're with, and you be buddies, because everybody has their point where you're fine being with everybody, but at the same time, like, you want your own space too. So make sure you rodeo with people you like, because if not, it's miserable.
That's
and
right.
Luckily, I had good friends that we all got along, and we like doing the same stuff.
Right. So, everybody has a mentor and whatever they do. Who's your mentor? Who'd you look up to?
There's been 2 people in my bull riding that, my dad took me everywhere. Me and my brother everywhere with him. Even if my mom wasn't there, my dad took us to the bull ridings with him. And at that time, where it was still like I could ride up front with my dad, and it didn't matter. So I thought I was grown. I'd carry my own rigging bag. I'd go with my dad to all the bull ridings, and really looked up to him. And I watched every move that they made, him and his friends. And then the other bull rider that I liked to watch and wanted to take after was Clint Bronger. Clint Bronger was from Montana. He wasn't a very big guy, like, built more like me, but I thought he rode so perfect, and everything looked so pretty about it. Like, he'd take one and ride something that bucked so hard that, the average guy would be like, dang, I could do that too. He made it look easy. Mm-hmm. And so I liked watching Clint Bronger ride. I thought it was real pretty. And that guy, even everybody said he's probably the best bull rider that never won a world title. And I believe that. Like, he's a world champion that should have had a world champion buckle, and it just didn't happen for him. But he ran around with the same crew. He was in the car he rodeoed with Tuff and Jim Sharp and Timer, whoever was in their rig, but Clint Bronger was in that rig with him, and that's someone who I liked watching tapes of.
So, everybody, you hear about Cheyenne Frontier Days and all these big rodeos, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth. What's your favorite arena to go to? Your favorite rodeo?
The one I thought was the coolest was St. Paul, Oregon. The first time I got there, I showed up and I look out in the arena, and it's set where the arena's longer, bigger, rounder, and the buck and shoot sit back here, and there's dang many Christmas trees all through this arena. I was like, my wife would love this place. And I thought, so I had to, I called her, and I was like, you won't believe it, but there's pine trees. There's Christmas trees in the arena.
My wife's taking notes right now, by the way. I'm sure they'll be there.
So that was the coolest one for me. I thought, of course, Cheyenne's awesome, and I've never got to go to Pendleton. Each time it was rodeo, I was always hurt right around then. So, but Cheyenne's a cool place just from the history. I think that the George Paul and Del Rio, the history in that is awesome from bull riding. But my favorite arena would have to be St. Paul, with the Christmas trees out there, and I was like, that's cool. That's neat.
So, every bull rider, or anybody that competes in any sport, bull riding, or rodeo included, always dreams of the gold medal. So what's your dream in bull riding?
My dream is the same as everybody. It's always been to be a world champion, and then my goal is still to be the very best bull rider that I can be. And when you show up, and every guy has it, if you're competing at any level of being a bull rider, whether it be the PRCA or the PBR or anything, like, in your own mind, you are the best. And I don't think there's ever anything that can buck me off.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess to be competitive, you got to think like that. But right, each bull I get on, like now, you always want to win the world. If there's something to be won, I want to win it. Okay, that's how it is. Like, I want to win it.
You're not competitive, are you?
Oh, gosh. I do not like losing. My dad's even told me, he's like, you got to learn to take it when you do lose. Like, be a good loser pretty much. And I was like, I can't. Like, it burns me up inside losing, but.
My kids always said, Daddy, you're either first or last. There ain't no in between.
You dang right. That best motto since Ricky Bobby came out with that. You ain't first, you're last, and that's for dang sure.
So a question from a Facebook person, Susan Baldock from Snook, Texas says, what do you want your legacy to be, and what do you want to be remembered for?
Legacy, I want everybody to remember that any time that I've got on anything or anything with rodeo, that I gave it everything I had. Like, to try every time, win or lose. If I lose, it's because they had to beat me. My legacy in life is I want, to be remembered as a good person, friend, but the best dad that there's been. Like, that's my thing. I love being with my wife and my boys and taking care of them and getting to share this lifestyle with them. And to have them around everything that's in the rodeo community instead of just what goes on in the real. If the real world would live like the rodeo world, it'd be a whole different place. That's how.
Well, that brings us to a good point. I want you to tell everybody about your family. I mean, I know your family, but tell us how you met Shelby.
Oh goodness, Shelby was hanging out with a friend of mine. It was her best friend since, I guess, kindergarten or elementary school. That's all I know. And it was a sister of a friend that I knew. So I went to Hill College. I was enrolled at Hill College. We'll say that. I didn't do very good in school, and Shelby had been up there hanging out with her friend because her brother had went to Hill College too. Or the friend's brother. Anyway, I met Shelby there and didn't really talk too much of anything. She even asked me, I guess I was sitting on my bunk or whatever. She's like, what, you don't have a voice or something? I was like, I don't have anything to say to y'all. Like, what do you mean? So it wasn't until a couple years later that, oh gosh, I went out with some friends. We went to Wild West, was the local little bar right there in Waco at the time, and I'd seen Shelby across the bar from me, and she was like looking at me, and so I walked over there to go tell her hi and talk to her. And if you don't know my wife, she loves tequila. So she was already having a dang good time, and we hung out and talked a little bit, and then before she left, I'd ran over there. I asked her for her number so I could get her number and be able to talk to her. Well, like the next day, I texted her and asked her what's my future wife up to today. I spoke that right into existence because right after that, we hung out every day, and then a year later, we were married, and we've been together for 13 years now and married 12 of them.
There you go.
Yeah.
And y'all got 4 kids together or separately, or?
3 boys together, and then I have an older son. But me, my oldest boy's name's Caden, and then me and Shelby have our oldest boy is River, and then there's Denton and Denver, and those are the twins. And those are the ones that Shelby said. I always tell everybody I'm 2 out of 4 because my first 2 boys were all about their mama. But these twins have taken up to dad more. And I said, I'm 2 for 4. And Shelby will tell you that those are my kids because every time I come home, she says, Tag, you're it. You got them. I said, well, yeah, that's perfect.
Well, I don't know if y'all keep up with Shelby on Facebook, but she's always posting things about the kids. And I'm just going to say that I'm glad that Shelby and you had those 2 boys, the twins, because,
man.
oh, my God, they've been to the store and they're a handful.
If there's something for them to get into, they are going to find it, and they will get into it. But they're a good time. I've told quite a few people now that if I'd have known how much fun it was with twins, I'd have been fine with that the first go around. But Shelby, she's a big part in that because without Mom, I don't know where any of us boys would be at, But she takes care of everything. With golly, she's like, they're yours. You take them right now. And then we're at the bull riding. The funniest thing I think to see is I don't know how many times I've heard something squawk, and I've looked up in the Coliseum, and Shelby is running one way chasing the kid while the other one's going the other way, and River's trying to catch that one, and it's a zoo.
Yeah, it's fun. Hey, don't forget that you can send us questions if you have them too. Lane's happy to answer your questions.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So last year you were the CPRA 2025 Bull Champion Rider of the Year. Tell us about that.
We started going to these deals and how long I've been doing this. The last time I went to any, these CPRA rodeos and one, it was 2014. So we come back all these years later. Wesley McManus, Diamond Cross Rodeo, he told me, he's like, man, when you're home and don't have anything going on, come to some of my rodeos. Well, we started going, and he has some that are just rough stock events too, so it's just bull ridings and bucking horses. Well, I was going, and we was just kind of racking it up and winning, and so I was like, well, shoot, we'll finish out the year here, and it turned out pretty good. And went to a bunch of Wesley's rodeos and some hat brand rodeos, and had a good time doing it. The finals come down to the finals. It was me and a good friend of mine that come pretty close to it, and it was a race. I'd started out pretty bad and let 2 of them get away from me, and then the last night of the finals, I had a bull that Jeff Harris and Mike Rawson were hauling, and he's a bucker, and I knew it. And I showed up once I found what I had drawn, and I said, well, that's it. That's the round win. I call it. And sure enough, we got him rode and won the round and ended up winning the year for it and getting the saddles and the buckles and just more stuff for them boys to have when they get older. But it was a good time.
So Amanda Tippy from Killeen, Texas, I believe, says, are you encouraging your boys to be in a rodeo like you?
Not really. So I won't push them. I don't take it off the table. My oldest son is a big-time baseball player and football player. That's what he's went to. He's got on a couple. He hounded me one time about getting on. I took him one day finally after he wouldn't leave it alone. He got on 5 of them back to back, and then had fun with it. He said, all right, maybe once I'm done with baseball. And I said, no, that's good enough. Like, if you don't want to keep going, don't hurt yourself for nothing. This is all I've ever thought about. So I understand since I was 2 years old, this is what I've been wanting to do. It's even wrote down in a baby book, that I was doing stuff at that age. So if you didn't want to do it, don't do it. River, the second oldest boy, has been drug around everywhere to these bull ridings, and he don't care about it none. He's the only kid I know that goes to sleep at the PBR finals while there's fireworks going off. He doesn't care. So I don't think I have much to worry about with him. But
the twins.
Now, Denton and Denver, they ride everything. The couch themselves, I built them a buck and shoot just because they would play like that. And then they got on a couple sheep a few weeks ago. So I'm not pushing them for it. If it's what they decide to do, then I'm all for it, and I'll do whatever I can to help them and make sure that they're set up right. But I don't want to put them on there and make them do something thinking that just because I want them to, because I don't want them getting hurt. I know how bad you can get hurt. I know what can happen. It's not just if you break an arm or a leg. It can be severe. So if I back them in whatever they want to do, I won't push the rodeo, but I dang sure if they want help with it, I'll smile and be right there in the mix of it with them.
Right. So one thing I do know, or we've talked about, I think you're going for the gold this year. We've got your pro card bought.
Yes, sir.
Got a couple little speeding tickets to pay for with the pros.
Yes, yeah, them dang fines, they'll catch up with you. They'll get you. But we are ready to go now and get back to some of these bigger rodeos and right now the game is whatever they'll let me into is to get in there and capitalize. As long as we start getting them rode and getting money won, then that's our goal. Get back and rodeoing and get to them big rodeos so we can get some qualifications in there. So maybe we will get to go to the Pendletons and Cheyenne and Ellensburg and all the big rodeos, Salinas. We'll get to going to them. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the road and doing my fair share of the driving, I reckon.
There you go. Well, one thing I know in talking to you, and a lot of people have a hard time articulating things, but especially like ropers, they're good at roping, but they can't really tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
And some people have the gift of being able to tell you how to do it, but I know when I talk to you, I ask you about your bull rides, and you're always telling me I get in my own way or something happens.
Yeah.
So, but to me, you recognize what you did wrong while you're riding that bull. I mean, I'm thinking, dang, he's out there for 8 seconds. It's wild, it's furious. There's thrashing, but it's like, I don't know if it's in slow motion for you when you're riding or what, but you know what you did wrong if you get buffed off, or even if you ride the bull, you said I should have done something different.
It's crazy what you can feel. How many thoughts? Like if me and you talk about it, I can tell you 15 different things that seems like it would have took 5 minutes to figure out that happened within split seconds, and then a total of 8 seconds that you think. I even think to myself, like, how'd that happen so dang quick? That something gets the best of me and bucks me off, and I can, my wife's like, what happened? And I may tell her that as soon as we left, like he pushed off real funny and rolled, just kind of lunged out and drug, didn't kick in his hind end and kind of drug his butt and rolled me into my hand and then backed up around the left and pulled me up over. And I'm thinking, all this happened in about a second and a half because I didn't ride him very far, But it's crazy what It does slow down. My dad told me a long time ago because first bull I'd got on is like somebody pushed fast forward and it was so quick, and I couldn't see nothing what was going on. And he said the more you get on and the more you learn, he said eventually it's gonna just like start ticking like so slow that you'll see it in picture frames. And I never understood it until one day he had taken me to, I think we were in Thornton, out by Groesbeck, and I'd got on a bull and he turned back to the left, and I hadn't really rode anything that went away from my hand at this point, and all of a sudden it just like slowed way down. I rode this bull, and by the time I realized I was riding him, I rode him a while, and then I was like, oh man, I'm doing it, and he freaking piled me up. And I stood up, and my dad was looking down at me he's like, how did you what was so hard about that for all this time? I was like, I don't know. It slowed down. He said, yeah, apparently.
That's a problem, it slowed down.
He said, finally, now I know. It wasn't in fast forward no more, Dad. I don't know. It worked that time. I figured it out.
So, Judy Taylor wants to know, how old were you when you decided you want to be a bull rider?
Oh, I was little bitty. It's wrote down in my baby book that by the time I was 2 years old, that I had my own style of what I thought I was going to ride like. I was a little bitty. My dad would get down and, in the arenas or at the house, and we'd buck bulls. I've always known that this is what I was going to do. And growing up, there's never been anything changed. I'd play with toys, and it would be me, going to bull ridings. Me and my brother would play as if our bedrooms was our hotel rooms while we were traveling, and be in the backyard at a bull riding, and we'd draw our own buckle designs up and everything. And even so far as when I was in school, I remember being in like 4th grade, and our teachers were telling us all the time, like, everything that we're learning is what we're going to use to make it in our jobs in life. And I said, no, ma'am, I promise you, I'm not going to use this stuff what I'm going to be doing for a living. It's like I've known forever that this was what I wanted to do. And my dad told me, he said, well, you better learn to ride good enough if you want to do that. And so luckily, I feel like we've done that.
So, every athlete has some training they go through, but most of them are all team sports, right? So you're going to the NFL or baseball or soccer, and you've got strength coaches, and you have all these people that keep you mentally ready and physically in shape. Well, what do you do to keep mentally in shape and physically ready?
Physically, I like to work out at that. Like we talked about, me and my wife put in a small gym at our house because I paid for a gym membership for quite some years, and my thing is I'll be able to go for a little bit and then be gone and can't go. But when we work out, it's not to get big and bulky, and I like to stay quick with and snappy and agile. And then the mental side is the hardest thing, and I think that throughout your whole career you're still going to battle. I mean, there are guys that they may not battle it at all. There's some that it just doesn't matter. Like for me, if I start doing bad, it bothers me. It bothers me bad. There's other guys that be like, oh well, we'll go to the next one. But it's hard for me to always stay so positive. So I credit a lot of this to Shelby for being there. She'll tell me, like, you can't change it. My dad will tell me the same thing. You can't change it. There's no rewind. You'll never get it back. You've got to move on. Otherwise, you're going to start carrying this into the next one and that into the next one. And then before you know it, you feel like you're carrying an anvil on your back and it's going downhill. But Shelby's always been really good about pointing out positive things or helping me just stay like at a rate where you're not up or down. You're right in the middle and level-headed, I guess you would say. And
one thing probably helps you a lot, though, is what we talked about a while ago, that you can actually, what you did wrong.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, it helps you fix it.
It does. And then there's times where I've done it wrong, and how the heck, why did I do that? Or how did I do that? Or, you know what's going on, but you can't figure out why you're doing it. And I've been through that. Well, then you gotta go get on practice bulls and figure it out and get on them and work through it, I guess. But it's good to know what you're doing and what's going on. And then there's times that it just happens so damn quick that you don't know what the heck was going on, But it's a fine line in there.
So PJ would like to know where your favorite ride took place.
The most memorable one was the Christmas tree place. That was awesome. I think there's so many that it's kind of hard to say just like such a favorite. Like I've said, Gallup, New Mexico was. I think it's awesome being in that Red Rock Canyon like that, you know, and the fireworks and everything going off and how loud it is there. And then of course, being over 90 points at the PBR finals was awesome. Like that was a really good feeling having Shelby and River there and.
So how was PBR? I mean, I don't want to get into a lot
Yeah.
of politics with it, but I mean the glamour and the bright lights of PBR bull riding.
The individual, like it is. For me, it's so much fun. It's where I've wanted to be my whole life. Like you play as that. So since the PBR was the Bud Light Cup series, like I've been watching that when it was when it was Clint Bronger, Jim Sharp, Ross Coleman, Justin McBride, all from the late 90s up and early 2000s and on, like that's where I'd wanted to be at. That's what, if me and my brother Rosen, if we see a video now from the 98 PBRs, we're like, that's right there is what made us want to be bull riders. Look how fun it looked. Like everybody was having a good time. So when I made it there, I was like, this is
TV
thing.
used to do a better job too for bull, because I remember when PBR first came out, my grandfather, and he's been gone for several years now, but he knew every bull rider.
Yes.
I mean, this is when Tough kind of first started PBR. We actually
Yeah.
took him to, and I'll tell you a story about that in just a second, but he watched bull riding every Saturday night. He knew the standings for every rider. I mean, he didn't miss a show, and I think that's something TV's gotten away from. You don't see bull riding and rodeo on TV like we used to.
It is more of a, I don't know how to put it, but it's a show. Like
It's a performance.
Yeah, it is, and we get someone had said it before. You get the drama, like the drama to try to build it, and it's this person or versus that person. When all reality, like you're not really. It's not me versus you or anything. Like each bull rider's got to ride their own bull. You got to stay on whatever you get drawn. You've got to ride him. So it's not really me versus you. It comes down it like that, but you still got to make the whistle, and you got to make the whistle more than everybody else. So it's just you have to do the best that you can. So
Well, I always tell my kids, both my boys team roped, and there's my heeler missed or my header missed. I'm like, well, you can always be a calf roper.
yeah.
It's all on you,
I did think that. I had when I was young. My dad had a buddy that would team rope with him who also calf roped, and he gave me a piggin string and taught me how to tie. I walk around the house tying that, and I said, Dad, why didn't you calf rope too? He said, because I wasn't about to fall off my horse trying to step down. He said, I tried that one time. And he said he just end over end. He said, after that, no.
So my story with Tough Hedeman and PBR, they had a performance at College Station. My grandfather was still alive, but he wasn't real mobile, so we'd take him to watch the show, the bull riding. And he sat up at the top of the stadium, and anyhow, at the end, Tough got in a pickup, and they drove around the arena, shaking hands and stuff. And I walked down there and said, hey, I said, my grandfather was 90-something years old. And I said, hey, my grandfather's up there, man, he's followed PBR. Tough literally jumps across the fence and runs up the steps to go up there and shake his hands. He comes back down. So I thought that was cool of him to do that. I mean, I don't know him, but
well, he's still that way. He's still putting on his own events now. The Tough Hedeman Tour, and I think there might be 3 big events a year, and then he's got a couple of smaller ones out in like Illinois or something that they do. But after every event, the bull riders have to go around, and you go and you talk to everybody and you sign autographs. Well, Tough's doing the same thing.
right.
He's still out there, and he'll still come sign stuff and talk to everybody, and that's what everybody's there for. Tough's name is still as big today as it was when he was riding.
Right. We go to a lot of bull ridings with our stuff, and with cattlemen's, and we do hats and sell stuff. And One thing I can say about you is that you're approachable and you'll talk to somebody. Where a lot of the riders are not. I mean, they'll shake your hand, say hi, but they're not going to stand there and
Yeah.
talk to you, you know. And of course, I've known you. And we'll stand for hours and talk about things that really don't matter, but we
Yes.
talk. But so Brandon DeBose once said, "Ask Lane if he remembers Bad Dog Stadium getting thrown off the back and dang near hit the roof." I'm assuming you know this person.
Yeah, no, I do. I think he's talking about there's a black bull that I'd rode that Bobby Williamson had just bought at the time, and there's a video of it somewhere, I think on Facebook. But anyway, whistle blow, and he was bucking, and so he's trying to keep getting around there. Well, the whistle blows, and by the time he's got me out here, since the whistle blows, I let go, and he just shoots. I landed on my feet, though, but he shoots me way up in the air. Good thing I did land on my feet, because I'd have had no air if I'd have come down flat on the back.
That's funny. So John Lopez says, "My son wants to know what kind of hat shape you get."
This is like on pretty much every hat. The top up here, like I would get
It's a
this
rancher.
as a cattleman,
Cutter crease.
and with the cutter bumps. Now, everything I do on the sides, like it's just kind of too much. I don't have a real wide face, so I like it being just a little bit narrower. But I don't want everything pushed up high, so just kind of narrow in the front, rolled with a slight roll in the back of it. Not too much, but
It's a little punchy, but not bad. I can tell you
Yeah.
what you can do. You can come to Cattleman's Westward, and I bet I can shape that hat like.
I bet
like,
you
that's gonna be
so.
our new style. And we'll take a picture of it, put it up. It says the Lane Nobles hat shape.
yeah, you come up here and
We can fix you up. So AT says, "How long do you plan on bull riding, and do you have a certain age you want to stop at?"
I've never had an age. I never put like a certain cap on it. I don't want to be, someone who started and then climbed up, and then by the time I was done, like I fell off the mountain and ended, down here. The day I'll stop is the day that once I feel like I can't win anymore and that I'm not competitive enough to go, I will be done. I've still proved it to me. Like I'm still winning. I'm riding more than what bucks me off. I'm still consistent. Still active, so I don't feel much different than I did when I was 22 or 20, but
Well, Peyton Manning was throwing a football not too long ago, and he's up in age. So
yeah,
I think it's all about
well, right.
physical condition.
Right now, I mean, if you look, that there's guys that are going right now that are in their 40s, and doing it at a high level, and but they take care of themselves. I might need to eat a little healthier instead of cheeseburgers, but I do the rest. Gosh dang, I'm a sucker. The one time I tried to eat healthy and change my way, Shelby was making me do it. And I got food poisoning, so I was like, no more.
So Brandon said that was exactly what he was talking about, and that he was the one that got it on video. So, hey, Brandon, why don't you share
Yeah.
that video with us on Facebook so that we
Yeah.
can tag it? So I know, you're going to make a run at the Pro Rodeo this year. It takes some money.
It does. It
If
does.
you're not, if you're not, you got to win. You don't have to be consistent, but you need to be winning because you want to get
Yeah.
to Vegas.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. You don't have to win first at everything, and that's the deal. But you have to be placing and making money. And then there's times that some of these rodeos, there are a lot of good bull riders still in going. So you may go and ride your bull, but you didn't draw good enough, and everybody else stayed on just the same as you did, and you don't win nothing. Or you may have a bad 2 weeks, and a bad 2 weeks could put you in a hole. It is expensive. You got your fuel, your food, your fees.
So what about that? Just tell us real quick. A lot of people don't understand how the scoring takes place. Because
Yeah.
they'll watch and they say, well, Lane stayed on his bull for 8 seconds, and this guy stayed on for 8 seconds. And what made that score?
Not know the difference. Say I get on a bull that leaps up in the air real high, but he's just kind of hopping, like his back legs aren't kicking out. They're just kind of like up underneath his belly, and he's just like leaping in the air, and then might make one round and everything. Okay, he looks real showy, but he's not kicking hardly at all. So he's not really that hard to ride. He's kind of like pogo sticking right up underneath himself. Well, then somebody else gets on a bull that leaps in the air, but his back legs are stretched out, and this bull makes 3 rounds one way, then leaps up in the air, and then turns back the other way, which both our bulls were leaping, but one bull's kicking way harder, which is making him, it's
Harder to stay on.
yeah, he's more intense, more intensity, not just kind of just lobbing around out there and everything. There's so many different key factors that would go into it that.
A little G-force there.
Yeah, a little G-force, but there's so many things that go into it that it's hard to catch all of them. But if a bull was to just jump down the pen, you're not going to be nowhere near the points you would be as if he turned back, right there in the gate or a jump out and had a lot of up and down to him.
So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that score comes from 50 points for the rider's performance and 50 points from how that bull bucked.
Yeah.
So it's a combined score.
Yeah, and it's combined. So if the bull rider is good and doing his part, which keeps him from getting out of shape, and he pretty much matches the bull's moves with his counter moves and looks good doing it. Well, he may have been on they're going to take his score and the bull score. So for the rider, they may one judge is going to give the rider a marking of 21, and then the bull a marking of 21. Well, then you got 42. So that's your 42 points out of your 50. There's so many different ways to judge it. Nowadays, if you watch the PBR, there's like 4 or 5 different judges. So everybody's doing it and then they
take an average.
They drop the high and drop a low, and
it's another person's opinion.
Yes, it's all about what somebody else sees, and their thought's going to be different than your thought. I don't know how many of them I've stepped off of and thought, that sucker is hard to ride, and I'll be 80 points. So like, they're out of their dang mind. Like, that was way harder than that. And then, but it's,
That's the sport.
Yeah, that's it.
So how important is it to you to have connections to traditional companies like Cattleman's Western Wear?
I think just having the friendships, it's not so much as like, just a deal where stuff like this was bonded off meeting and then making friendships and getting to be around each other and hang out and I think it could be just hard to put into like what it's like with or without, but I don't really know how to go about that one. It's the connections are great just because you have friends over. That's the same as making your friends outside of state when you come around and we hadn't seen you or whatever. We need a place to come hang out for a bit and everything. It's just.
So have you ever thought about doing schools, like teaching other people how to ride a bull?
Yeah, Shelby's talked about me doing that, and I think my mom's even said it, and I've had a couple of guys from around here say that it'd be good to do, but
you're not ready yet.
Then I'm thinking like, who knows if I can teach them right? Like I know the basics the same as everybody knows the basics. If you rode bulls and made a decent living at it, like you understand the basics. But how do I don't know how to tell somebody that, when you're over here, you're just going to have to kick loose with everything and just, like, I don't know how to teach somebody. That's just off reaction.
And we talked about that a while ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of even ropers that they can go stick it on one, but they can't tell you how they did it.
I say that doing stuff like that. My brother got on some the other day. I think that I could help. I don't know about being just such a great teacher, but Rawson got on some, and I pointed out a few things that I'd seen. And he's like, oh, yeah. I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe there would be something in the future that could work, but at the same time, I don't want to tell somebody something and it fit me, but not them.
Right. So we talked about your favorite arena, your favorite rodeo, your bull, and everything. So what's your favorite rodeo to go to just because of the other things you get to do while you're there. You talked about hiking and going to the beach, and
Yeah.
that y'all say, hey kids, y'all come go with us because we're going to do more than just rodeo.
The one place that we do that really is Gallup. That's our family where I do take Shelby and the boys, because you can hike Red Rock Canyon right behind the arena, so you can go up this trail and look down over the arena. Because every other place that we've been to, like it was just like we lucked up and had a day or so. We never, it wasn't just our favorite place. If we had just a spot that we wanted, like we like going to as our family getaway, would be Destin, Florida. We go there with my parents, my mom and dad. They go for 2 weeks to a month every year, and we go there and hang out. And so that'd be like our getaway place, is to go hang out on the beach for a little bit in Florida with my mom and dad. River thinks he's a surfer, He grows his hair out real long and bleaches it blonde.
That's funny. That is too funny. So, okay, here we go. So Robert Brandenburg from Temple, Texas says the name Lane by chance named after Lane Frost, or just a coincidence?
No. Yes, sir, it is. It's named after Lane Frost. It was another thing that was wrote down in my baby book. As named after the 1987 world champion Lane Frost, and then on the side it was in parentheses, and just a little much, but it was like kick their ass and take their money, so it was wrote down. I guess even by then, someone that they asked earlier when I decided it, I guess I knew before I knew, it was wrote down in my book, and the thing about it was never pushed on me as well. My dad wouldn't let me. I got on some sheep, but until I was over 16, I was in between 16 and almost 17. My dad didn't let me get on anything.
Really?
Yeah. He said, you're not getting on just because you watched me do it. He made sure that I really wanted to do it.
You had that passion.
Yeah.
So, folks, this has been a great discussion with Lane, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. I guess in closing, where are you going next?
We're up in Enid, Oklahoma on the 21st. My brother called me. It's been a long time since I've been able to go with Roslyn, and he sent me a flyer. He said, hey, would you be interested in going to this? And I got 5,000 added. I said, well, absolutely, let's go. And so he called me back. He said, we're in. I said, all right, we're in. Let's go get it done. So we're going to go up there, and then we'll have some rodeos coming up. It's getting that time where Colleen's going to be going on, Liberty Hill, Bryan, Belton's got another, a summer rodeo. All these summer pro rodeos are coming up, so we're going to be
on the road.
Yeah, making the push and win as much as we can, make it to circuit finals again, and get the qualifications in there so that we're ready to rock.
Ready to go to Vegas.
Yeah, dang right.
So, folks, we're going to wrap it up. This has been Lane Frost. If you see him on the road, stop and say hi. He's an awfully friendly guy. You'll love his family and him both. If you have a chance to get in your pickup, go watch a rodeo. Go clap and support it. It's one of the oldest sports there is in the state of Texas for sure. Rodeo was started back in the day when there wasn't automobiles, and the ranches would get together and let the cowboys compete against each other to see who had the best cowboys on the ranches. Again, it's a long, long Texas history and tradition. And I probably said Lane Frost a while ago. I did. Lane Nobles. And Lane, again, thank you for coming on. It's our very first podcast. I've enjoyed visiting with you. Look forward to supporting you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on here.
You
Thanks
bet.
to everybody for tuning in with us and giving us some questions. And it's been good just to visit and hang out. So I hope everybody else enjoyed it as much as I did sitting here being able to talk with you.
Great. Hey, if you just caught the end of this, don't worry about it. We're going to repost it on Facebook. You'll be able to watch some trails or whatever you call it. I'm not sure about the technical term. Again, this is David Welch with Cattleman's Westward, Temple, Texas, Temple Mall. Come by and see us where we treat everybody like family.